What's going on, you tube world? Michael, Vincenzo, Steve, Dave, IRP 208. At some point in time in the not too distant future, we'll be joined by. You can read the placeholder and the descriptor box below. You will be able to already know who's joining us, but the first timer to the show and a topic that is always not only like in a hobby sense, but like a psychological sense. Always something I like to delve into. So when that time arises, it'll arise. But no blue pills yet, so it hasn't risen yet.
Mine are purple. Does that matter?
Okay, B12.
Well, they are.
You
For a
are.
different-
You,
For
they
a
are
different
whatever
thing.
you say they are.
No, I don't have that problem. Then again, how would I know?
Yeah, I might like Brett Favre, but that aspect of the Brett Favre world is going to be Brett Favre inclusive, and that's it.
It had been a while long before all the other shit that transpired. Just
Yeah.
So yeah.
So your Broncos pulled it out. So
Defense. All about the defense.
For fantasy, I needed 10 points from them. You would think, okay, that was more than that. I got 20, I think.
Well, yeah,
and it would have been more,
two
but,
pick sixes.
But they gave up a
shit ton of
yards.
Yeah.
So that
shit ton of yards, touchdowns. Like since I canceled my cable, not that I was watching a whole lot of football I'd mentioned this. I hadn't watched much football anyways.
Mm-hmm.
It pisses me off to watch games to where it's like either the refs call everything or they don't call shit. There's never a happy medium. And to me, it takes away from the game. So like I choose to not watch anything. And am I a little upset that I didn't try and see if I could watch it, only for the simple fact that it would be probably the first time all year that they were going to be on TV. But, Bo Nix did not look so hot. 2 picks, I think. So he didn't help anything, but, the defense, what was it, a 70-something yard and a 90-something yard pick 6, which ultimately won the game when you put things into perspective. Without that, they would have been crushed. So a win's a win. Then again, it was against Cleveland, so that's not saying much.
No, and I'm sure beginning of the year, it's like, okay, maybe Nix and Watson, who knows what's going to transpire. Sleeper picks in that AFC, and can't flex out of a Monday night game, so that's the struggle there.
So Dave, hold that thought. Ray, can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. Are you good to go? Thumbs up if you're good to go. So Dave, since normally we do this in the pre-show, we couldn't pre-frame and prepare Ray for how we normally do this when somebody makes their IRP debut. I can't talk. No, I'm not drinking, folks, for anybody who's curious.
Maybe that's the problem.
Could be. We will let Dave introduce our guest, and then we'll bring him on.
So I
And
know
then
he's
we'll
been
talk
on.
more football.
Yes, he's been on other channels at other times. I'll fully admit I don't watch because I know how we do things here, and it's different than other places. And I'll leave it at that. 'Tis the season of holiday celebratory kindness. Um,
Sorry.
but Ray, I collect Ichiro on both YouTube and Instagram. I had a post, and again, I followed him on there. I realized today I didn't follow him on, or I wasn't subscribed to him on YouTube, so I rectified that wrong. And he had a post on there that, like I said previously, that it's interesting to me, and I value him as a collector. He's intelligent. He doesn't make just like snap decisions when he posts something. It's worth your time to read and look over. So glad he was able to find time to come onto this shit show and hopefully delve into some of the words that form sentences that formed a complete thought and see where that's going to lead him in his collecting journey and his hobby sphere. But without further ado, I give to you the 2025. Oh, nope, not yet. That's a couple weeks away, folks. Welcome to the IRP. Ray, I collect Ichiro.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Good having you on. Glad you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for being late.
No
It's
worries.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as late.
Not
Especially
here.
on this
No.
show.
No. If you know anything about Dave, it is always ish. So you were within the ish, so all is good.
Yeah.
If anything, we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
This is true too.
Awesome.
Family comes first anyways, so like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. All of us but one on here have kids, so like we get it. As I was alluding to, since we didn't get a chance to chat in pre-show, we only have 2 rules on this show. If you've ever watched us, hung out, you probably have heard me say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. We only have 2 rules. No religion, no politics. Other than that, really anything is open for discussion. If you want to drop every other word in an F-bomb, feel free to do so. There is no judgment here. So now that that's out of the way, Dave, I'm sure you have some questions. Let's get this show on the road.
So when did you start collecting Mr. Suzuki?
In 2010,
Okay.
made a decision 2010 to mainly focus, probably 99% of collecting focus on him.
Okay. And what led you to that, like, that path of like, okay, this is the door I'm going to stop at, and it's going to be Ichiro, and then sprinkle in whatever else you can down as funds allow.
You know, obviously I'm no spring chicken. I've been collecting, ever since I was a kid, opened my first pack of 87 tops. That was my first pack opening experience, and, been hooked ever since then. Never really, little lulls here and there, but still collected throughout the years, and, get through school and college and things like that. And even then it took some breaks, but then I would drive, I went to college in Orlando, so driving through down the road, you see a new card shop pop up. So I would stop in, see what's going on, pick up a couple things. eBay was still kind of new at the time. So, again, seeing things in person versus buying off still a new eBay at the time, and seeing things in person was a different experience. But was been collecting randomly, but stuff I liked. But then I got to a point where I really wanted to narrow down the focus on, instead of either collecting a team, a player, or, I didn't know exactly what route I wanted to take. And then, I sat there and had, probably 100 different cards, 100 different players I've liked, enjoyed watching. But I wanted somebody that had that wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet, but had that trajectory. again, that's even though you're on a trajectory doesn't mean you're going to get there. But I wanted somebody that had that trajectory, and the way his career is gone, he never had any major injuries. He took care of his body. He was super flexible. That was one of his main deals. Really taking care of himself, eating well, no off the field drama. I mean, just really that was his life, and he lived and breathed it. And every time you watched him out there, it looked like he was having fun. I mean, just a cool what I've seen, just a really really cool guy. And I bought a couple books about him and read stories about him and heard things from other players and just behind the scenes, just supposed to be just one of the funniest guys you've ever known. And this whole thing is like, you run into him and he's like, oh, he wouldn't really, talk. He couldn't speak English all that well. Well, it turns out he speaks a really good English. He just uses out so you won't have to go into a conversation. But anyways, but yeah, so I sat there and I wanted somebody, if I was going to dive real deep into collecting him, like I knew I wanted to, whoever the player I was going to select, I wanted somebody that had that trajectory. And him, his first 10 years in Major League Baseball with 200 hits or more in 10 consecutive seasons right off the bat, and with no injuries. So I liked him. He's a right-hand player, but his dad taught him how to hit left-handed because you're that much closer to first. So, you have more chance to get being safe. And he was fast, and his arm in right field was an absolute cannon. I don't think he gets enough credit for those. I love going back and watching highlight films of him on YouTube and all the infield hits he would beat out. Just, even those guys, these seasoned players, just the pressure he would put on them, on an infield ball, the ground ball to throw him out was just, you could tell the panic on. They were just, he would run them out and beat them out all the time. And that's old school baseball. They really don't play it like that anymore. So, I'm a kind of an old school guy. As far as baseball, all these new rules I don't care about. But yeah, so I ended up stuck on Ichiro. Thought that he was on that trajectory that I liked. I liked him as a player. No drama. No steroid stuff. Nothing going on with that. So that's what led me to pick him.
Who before him did you sort of collect, or were you? You said you had a bunch of cards of a bunch of different players. Was it a bunch of Mariners guys, or just?
No, it's funny. I live in Florida. I've never been west of Louisiana, so it's funny when everybody thinks, oh, are you up in the Northwest? Are you here? Are you there? I'm like, no, nope. But no, it's nothing as far as that. But I'm a Braves fan because I'm originally from Kentucky, lived in Florida for quite a few years at this point, so. There was back in the TBS days where you could catch the Braves on, so that was basically our home team. And, that was when they had Russ Nixon as the head coach before they were good. So I'm not a bandwagon fan. I've been through the bad years too. So, but yeah, I collected a lot of Braves stuff. I liked them a lot. A lot of the 90s guys, Frank Thomas and King Griffey Jr., the guys we idolized growing up and collecting and stuff like that.
So when you made that choice to go with Ichiro, what were some of those first major cards you were able to procure of him? Or do you remember like some of those highlights early on?
It's funny because my collection's gotten like, this is one of the reasons where like I'm thinking about getting rid of some stuff. Is like because the collection now is I've got over 4,000 cards of Ichiro. But I really wanted to make a collection where it was pretty high end stuff. Where my first thought was like anything 50, serial number 50 or less. I mean that was kind of my thought right out of the gate. And then, when I really started looking at all the cards he had some great stuff numbered 100 or less. So then I was like, well, so I tried to change my focus to that. And then I kind of I missed out on some rookie stuff and again I still got them for what they go for now for really good prices, but I could have got them for like a really, really good price if I would have not made that my focus. But yeah, his Bowman Chrome rookie cards, I remember getting those, again, this is back in the day, but they have an English back and a Japanese back for his Bowman Chrome, 2001. And I remember like, even then I was trying to like figure out, most bang for my buck. And I wanted to hopefully find a seller at one point that would have both cards available. And sure enough, one guy had both of them available, and I bought them both for $110 for the pair.
Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, that was a really good deal. Yeah, there's some that stick out, but yeah, that a particular, yeah, I did really well on those.
And yeah, you don't see those. You see them pop up. They're usually like the Pujols one. It's usually overpriced because people are. It's sort of like the I don't know if it's a Geico commercial. I think I've used the analogy more times than I should. But the guy with the fishing pole and has the dollar, he's like, everybody's just fishing,
Right.
seeing what they can get. If you're gonna drop 2 times whatever the price of the going rate is, it's like, okay, I'll move it begrudgingly, but
Right.
So at what point did you stumble upon the YouTube community?
Oh man, it's probably been little after 2010, when I really started like branching out a little bit more. I'm trying to think who. I think I did a search just for Ichiro's, stuff, just to see if people were posting videos or showing things, and then that whole side was something like I really wasn't aware of. But I mean, I know there's guys have been doing it for years, and some of those guys aren't around or very rarely post anything. Like Sevens.
Yep.
He's probably one of the first ones I watched, and he had that crazy patch collection, and I mean, he was into all kinds of things, man. He's a very eccentric guy. I liked him a lot. But yeah, I mean, there was some great. There's still a ton of great guys. It's like I've got to the point where I've kind of subscribed to so many people. It's hard to watch everybody's stuff, and I kind of feel bad for it. But it's like, and people say, well, people like doing these YouTube videos are 3 minutes or less because the algorithm. I'm like, you know what? If I don't mind a 30-minute video, if I'm sorting cards or looking at things, I'll throw it on for 30 minutes. I don't mind a long, but people just don't have that, I guess, frame of mind, or they don't have the attention span for some reason.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point, and that was one of my. When I make videos, I try to maximize the time of making said video. I don't like the 5 to 7 minute ones.
Right.
I mean, if it's one package mail day, yeah, but then people be like, God, you went on for 8.5, 9 minutes about one card. I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's what I do.
Well, that shows how much that card means to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're buying something for X amount of money, and you, like, let's say you have an Ichiro, like an 04, the SP Games, like you got some patch of him, it's like, I don't want you to show it and be like, here it is, it's a nice card, look at it's numbered to 50, put it down. No, that you spent some decent coin on that. I mean, I want to hear about why you chose that card and to spend that money. I mean, that's the thing that a lot of folks now that are picking up cards of like the huge prices don't have any inkling about. It's like, I know for me, the first $100 card I think I bought was an 02 McCown, Josh McCown SP Authentic Patch Auto Rookie, and that was in March, I think, of 2004.
Right.
So I was 23 years old the first time I spent $100 on a card.
Yeah.
I'm like, and people now that $100 is just like pissing in the wind.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. But when you saw one of the people on YouTube of your subscribers, and it's like, okay, huge card, and it could have been a $60 card, and you got 50 comments, 80 thumbs up, like 200 views, because that card people knew meant something.
Right.
And now I don't think people have any idea about that, where it's just like, okay, nice patch, but what's the next card? What's the 101? Where's the Nebula or whatever nonsense? It's like people don't realize that from that era when they see that, and you see a 10-minute 10-minute one package mail day.
Yep. That's like, one of the things with Instagram is I've done it for a while, but for when I first started, I didn't do much for it. I mean, I did a description of here's the card, here what it is, the year, numbered, whatever. But I've been trying to add a little more story to it, you know, like especially because some of the cards I have or recently had gotten in the last year or two, you know, since I started collecting them in 2010, this is the only time I've ever seen that card available. So,
Mhm.
you know, in that long time of frame, I've only seen that card once. So, you know, that's something that if you as a collector, if you don't understand that, I mean, that's pretty insane for that amount of time for only one of those cards become available.
Or you remember, hey, in 2015, I saw that, didn't have the money at the time. I was like, they couldn't pull the trigger. And then it's like, okay, now we're another 8.5, 9 years later. Then you see it, you're like,
Right.
they're not popping up all the time. But again, when you have, and that's another thing, you see some of these posts under like a Tops on their Instagram, or
Don't
somebody's
even
like,
start on that.
I know. I look at that and I swear quite a bit daily when I start looking at it. When somebody's like, "Oh, I completed like the in the name set of like somebody, and it took me like 18 months." I'm like, "Motherfucker, that you're lucky that it took 18 months."
No.
I've seen 4 of the letters of Josh Johnson. I have not seen the other 3,
Right.
and that's 12, 13, 14 years.
Yep.
So it's because you've got the volume of breaking now going on where people are just going through that stuff as soon as it's getting packaged. Somebody's at the end of the conveyor belt setting up a break for it. So
Yep.
the collectors that have been back in the hobby since COVID don't realize
No.
you waited 18 months to put together a set. You are living the good life.
Oh yeah.
Some of the stuff, and again, it's not just 101s, it's stuff to 25 to 15 to 50 that you don't see.
Right.
So, speaking of Instagram, which made me contact you, what's going on with the Ichiro collection?
Like I said, I got to a point where it's more than what I wanted, I guess, to put together. It's got you know, it's 10 3-row boxes, and then I got a full 3-row box of graded stuff, and then I've got another 2-row box just full of base stuff. So it's like I love every card. I don't care if it's base or not. I like it all. But it's gotten it's too much. You know, luckily my wife's understanding, but obviously it takes up a ton of space. And you know, we had, you know, we're in Florida, so we had a hurricane come through Milton, you know, and when they first that thing was tracking, it was like, oh, when it was supposed to hit the coast, it was going to be like a category 3, which is not a big deal. And you know, that thing was just slowly moving. So then every time the update was like, oh, it's a category 4 or it's category 5, and it's just like, I'm like, this thing's going to be a serious storm. And at the time, they had the eye tracking right over us, and it's like, and that was a 100-year storm. And I'm like, you know, I don't have any of the collection insured, none of it. So if something were to happen, I would be financially irresponsible for, you know, if something were to happen. So I would just like, and it, you know, it moving so slow, it took it like 3 or 4 days to get here, and I'm just like, this whole thing's stewing, and I'm just like, I mean, I was nervous, super nervous, and I didn't know what to think, what to do, and I'm like, you know what, it might be time just to make some moves with this stuff.
So, in saying that, what do you? Because I know you had said in the post that you want to move stuff, but at that particular moment, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to go about this. I don't know what avenues I'm going to look for, like to sell, trade, whatever you're going to do, or even what you're going to part with, because you didn't know if it was going to be everything, or maybe you just pare it down to some of the key components of the collection. I mean, it might be something where people are like, well, no, that's like the Topps Chrome 01 Retrofractor or whatever. You part with that, but it's like some other card 4 years later that you're like, I really like this because of this.
Right.
Like 235 or something. I want that over that, and people are like. So has that what's that thought process been like? Of like, is it gonna be the whole gamut, or will you be keeping a portion just because that's so ingrained in your collecting nature or your journey?
My original post thoughts were like, it's gone. Let's just do away with it. But then, of course, you got friends in the hobby, and they're like, and everybody was like, why? What's going on? This and that, blah blah. And then a couple of them were like, hey, if I could offer you any advice, keep a 2 or 3 dozen cards, of what you absolutely love. Because again, my main parts are, as I don't have insurance on the collection, it's hard to insure 4,000 cards, and that's just Ichiro stuff. I have more stuff besides Ichiro stuff, so that's a fraction. So it's like, so I got 2 row boxes of non-Ichiro stuff. So it's like it's a crap load of stuff. So I'm like, I can't handle it all. I can't deal with it all. So maybe I keep 2 to 3 dozen cards, and this is stuff where, like, when I got into it, when I was buying stuff, like the stuff I'm gonna let go with as far as the pricing they are now, I'll never be able to buy back. That's I'm gonna have to keep that in mind when I do this. I've already started piecing stuff out. That's a lot of great advice. So piece out what I can. I don't know what I'm gonna keep just yet, but people are like, messing me about certain things, and I'm like, man, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe, man. But then some people are like, hey, some of that stuff will do great in auctions. So I'm like, and especially if you have so many people, which is all the same cards, why would I sit here? And some people are like, hey, can I get a bulk deal? And I'm like, man, I don't want to be like, come off as an ass, but I got the complete run of the Topps Chrome Red refractors out of 25 from the very first day they made them to his very last card. Well, I don't collect him past 2020 because, of course, they're gonna keep printing him till the freaking yeah. So I don't go down that route, but I got the whole Chrome Red, and looking up some of these prices, there's no pricing information in the last 3 years for some of these cards. None have become available. And they're like, oh, can you give me a bulk deal? I'm like, no, I'm going to have to stick with comps. I mean, if you want to sit here and try to put this red set together like I did, and you want to sit around for 7, 8 years, 10 years and try to do it, and yeah, or I'm not trying to like rip anybody off. Here's what the last one, or a comparable, or the last one sold for. I'll sell you, even if it was a year ago, I'll sell to you the same price. I'm not trying to ask more. But it's like, something as a long-term collector, you don't realize how hard it is to put those runs together. And it takes them, it's like you said, some of this stuff now is a lot easier, but those long runs that go back from like the 2004, 2005s all the way to 2020, good luck trying to put that together. It's going to take you years.
Or lots of fistfuls of cash. That's going to be the other thing where, and I get that you put that out there. And I went through the comments again as I see all these other Ichiro collectors or other 90s, 2000s inserts type guys or other Mariners guys. It's like, yeah, you want to add to their collection, but at the same time, you just said, how hard it is to get this stuff. You don't want to be giving stuff that's insanely difficult to find away, or give like the good friend deal or the bro deal.
Right. What is funny though is I had zero issues with any Mariners fans, any Ichiro collectors, people I've made like good friends with in the hobby. That zero issues with them. I mean, reach out and this and that, and again, I don't mind even helping them out a little bit because I know that this isn't a flipping situation, which I don't want to get into that, but I'd much rather knock $50 off of somebody that I know it's going to go in their collection than to give it a discount to a flipper.
True, and especially, and again, I don't know the Ichiro market because it's just not my guy, but I know like the Abreu market. like Philly days and that stuff. There's a lot of stuff in that era, which is again stuff I'm glad I got 2-3 years ago. That I think the summer of COVID, I think, or the next summer was one where somebody had listed a bunch of like the rare stuff, and I'm like, if Ichiro has the comps on that, like there's you're not finding them, and even if it's to a good friend, it's like, God, I want to help you so bad, but I also know once this wave of stuff goes, it's not like you've got like me. I've got 13 or 14 warehouses I can just pluck stuff from wherever, and it doesn't just money growing on trees, as it were. But you want to help, but you want to maximize your return, because again, for even if it's you're just, hey, I want to be done with the stuff at put the money for family, a vacation, college for the kids, whatever the case may be, maybe a new car, whatever it is, you don't want to sit there and like start getting nickled and dimed down and like, well, cripes, I just had 4 sales of stuff that I really like to get rid of, but I took like $400 off. I mean, that's a chunk of change, no matter if you're
Right.
selling to me, to Steve, to Michael, to Vinny, to any of the Ichiro guys on Insta or Facebook or wherever. It's just like, and they should be realistic too. I mean, it's like, okay, if we can come to the happy medium,
Right.
like, hey, you feel good with your price. I know I'm paying a little more than I want, but I also know the rarity of said cards. I mean, hopefully that's how it works out for you when you really start knocking down some of these sales, because a lot of people see that and they're like, ooh, the chum is in the water and I'm
Oh,
going to be the
oh yeah.
shark.
I tell you, I got so many messages. I guess I didn't think it would. I don't know. I guess it didn't blow up like it. I wasn't expecting it. Just like,
Yeah.
and I did the post, and I was going to do a follow up post saying I was going to take a few days off of Instagram just to like step away for a little bit, because it was a big
Mhm.
decision, hard decision, very hard decision. And man, it was just like it took me like 5 days to really get back to everybody that had sent me a message. I'm just like, man, this is like that. And my whole thing was like, I was going to handle everything on myself. And then I was like, you know what, this is going to be a lot more than I thought it was going to be. So I'm like, obviously I help out the people I know. I've met Ichiro collectors, Mariners collectors, and them, take care of them. But those guys have been great. And the good thing about them, a lot of them, is they have their pulse on the Ichiro market, so they have an idea what the stuff is worth. So they know. I mean, if and a lot of them will say, "Hey, man, you've been doing it, forever. If you think this," I'm like, "Look, comps or there are no comps for this, but here's like
Mhm.
I'll use Pujols as very similar price wise. He sells very similar to what Ichiro does, stuff like the rare reds and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, it's just it's those guys have been great, but yeah, it's a process. I don't know how long it's going to take. It seems like it's going to be a lot harder, but like one guy bought the full run of top blacks from me, just from his days with the M's. So
Okay.
that took a long time to put together, but he was good. He threw out a price. I countered. Deal was done.
And that's, you always hope for that, where it's not going to be something where you start haggling,
Mhm.
especially when it's somebody, again, maybe it's not a close friend, maybe it's just a friend. Like, okay, I got a price. Okay, what's your price? Go back and forth. It's quick. You're not sitting there, well, I'd like to be
Right.
at this. Well, you know what? I guess we're not going to make a deal then. And you start
Yeah.
hurting those guys' feelings because it's just an unrealistic expectation of trying to get like the best deal possible, when it's like, I want to help you out because I know you're making a tough decision. Again, no matter any reason, anything, selling your PC, it's something where, like I've said, it's psychologically to me just I can't wrap my head around that. Again, I know my Josh Johnson collection. It's cool to look at, and there's some pieces in there that would be worth some decent money, but there's a lot of stuff that people would be like, oh boy, 62 Topps Chrome rookie auto, Kippy. That's what I want to see. I'd rather use it as ass wipe for the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, when I think of like that type of situation, it's always I'd rather just burn the whole fucking pile because I'm selfish.
No,
Quiet you.
no, never. Like, I'm glad I'm sitting down.
I know you are. With the stuff like that, it's like nobody in my mind and my eyes is gonna even approach the ability to enjoy his cards, his memorabilia, his whatever collectibles as much as me. But I know out there's a shit ton of obviously more Ichiro fans comes over from Japan, huge following. It's not just like some middle reliever schlub like a Byung-Hum Kim, who again had a nice fan base, or Shioshi Shinjo, well, at the same time that came over to the Mets. But it's like this guy's a mega star. Then you go to Seattle, which is absolutely the perfect place for him because of the proximity. Again, the Japanese, the Pacific. So it's just I struggle with that thought of even like beginning to be like, well, even Abreu, any of these other like quote unquote secondary collections, it's like I don't even know where I'd start and how I could even push my mind past that wall, past that hurdle.
Yeah.
Like I need to sell, or I have to sell, or whatever. I want to trim quote unquote the fat, or just pick, like you said, a top 25, a top 50, somewhere in that neighborhood, and be like, okay, that's what I'll go with. Because it just, for me mentally, that'd be a battle.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yay or nay? Just wanted to make sure.
What's up, everybody?
Oh,
The real Bob
Bob.
Lewis.
Yeah.
So I did actually have a question, and this kind of goes back to what Dave initially touched on. Like, speaking from just my experience, I've had a ton of people reach out to me. Like, I'm not looking to move my collection at the moment, right? Well, if you decide to move your, please make sure you let me know. Contact me first. Well, I don't know you. Like, I appreciate you reaching out, but what I find interesting in this, and I'm curious, and you can decline to answer if you would prefer. I don't have an issue with that. Did you ever feel as though people were looking like you're a wounded antelope and you have like a cheetah or a lion literally trying to pounce on your close to dead carcass, thinking that, oh, this guy is selling because he needs to sell? Like, I know, and just listening to the conversation, you're not needing to sell anything.
Right.
You're wanting to move on. It's the same thing with Michael and his Clay Matthews stuff. He doesn't have to sell it. He's choosing to sell it because he's wanting to dive into other things that he enjoys. So in that situation, after that post and you saying like 5 days to catch up, did you actually feel as though you had individuals literally looking for, oh, this guy's selling because he needs the money? What can I get for #good deals only?
I definitely had some people reach out. The conversation didn't go far. It was just more or less like, hey, if you need help in liquidizing your collection, just the way they kind of worded that was kind of like liquidizing. I don't know if I use the term liquidizing the same as they
All
might.
those buzzwords.
Yeah, I'm like
liquidate,
Yeah.
baby. Okay,
Yeah.
like
felt like I was on the QVC channel or something. I was just like, I don't know, and like, oh, if you need any help doing anything, let me know, and this and that. And some people I know, and some people, have other channels and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I want to try to feel this out as much as I can. But yeah, I definitely had that feeling. A couple people, were very genuine, but a couple came across like that, and right away they're like, hey, I bought so and so's collection. I bought so and so's collection. And one person, they said they didn't know what, I guess they were friends of one of the people from the people that are interested in helping liquidizing the collection, and saying that they didn't know what they would offer, like 50% comps or whatever. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not giving it away. I'm not giving it away. That would be stupid.
well,
And like Dave would say, honestly, it'd be better. Before I give anything away at 50%, I'd burn it. Really would.
well, and like I can respect Dave and even you for saying that. I can't say I would feel the same way. But again, like you've put a lot of time, focus, energy, money into building this collection over the years. Why anybody would think that you're just going to take 50% of comps, even 60%, 70%.
Right.
Again, this is not a fire sale. You don't have to sell this. You have time. Again, like you said, you're not trying to be an asshole. You're not trying to rip somebody off, but you want to make it beneficial for both parties.
Right.
And have you considered using a consignor for some of it?
I haven't talked to the consigner. I've just done some research and background on, a couple of different ones, but I don't know if the big auction houses, they get the eyes, but it seems like, unless it's that super high end stuff, some of that stuff falls through the cracks. And, I'm leery of the bigger ones, but some of them have a very good reputation. They're smaller. I might go that route, like, especially like some that just do mainly on eBay.
Right.
Because to me, eBay's the king. That's where you're getting the eyes. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all those, buyer premiums if the people don't understand how all that works, and you need to set up an account and everything like that. So, everybody knows how eBay works. Clean cut and simple. So I think I might go that route.
Now I could see, like, if you have a 101 from 01, 02 time frame, or I'll call it a logo shield, even though, like, I don't consider baseball stuff logo shields because it's MLB logo or whatever. Like, if you had something like that, then my own personal opinion, look at some of the bigger auction houses. You know what I mean? Because that they put in the marketing dollars and something like that. So, like, you may get some additional push and actually get a better bang for your buck. But as you said, like, eBay we still all scour eBay for all sorts of stuff. And I know there's some good ones out there. I know Michael, because he's partying with his. He hasn't done anything lately, but I know
lazy.
he's been looking to engage with a consigner just because it makes it easy.
Yeah.
You ship them the stuff, like, they do all the headache, the work, and you sit back and just wait for them to pay you.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
Well, that's one thing with that run.
I'm looking at either DC Sports or if I still had my really big stuff, if I was still looking to move it, I would have gone with Mike with MC Sports.
That's who I was thinking. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I've known Mike for over 10 years. because he used to come into Ryan's shop before he even got big. And that's where I met him. I remember he came in with just like a, little 300 count box with a few cards in it. And now he's massive.
Yeah. Yeah. I've sold him some cards, just like some stuff outside my Ichiro stuff or stuff I have doubles of. I've sold him just to, because through collecting all these years, once you buy one, if you run across one that was like considerably cheaper than the last one you bought, and it's rare, I would double up, triple up. So over the years, I just started selling doubles and triples and stuff too. So,
yep. Yeah, I think I've sold off pretty much everything that I wanted to make sure I got all the money out of for myself. I didn't have to give anybody any cut of it. And I'm at the point now where I think I just need to load up and I'll send it off to DC. I think is where I'm going to go through.
Okay.
And
yeah.
My only issue that I've noticed with them is they don't stagger the listings. They all end within 1 to 3 seconds of one another.
Oh yeah.
And that's really
Tough.
It's very tough, because if you have somebody that can only afford to buy one card and they miss on the first one, they don't have time to bid on the next one.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The joys of Turbo Lister.
Yeah.
That's what other thing I was thinking about too, is because it's, once I get down like to a certain stage or whatever, I mean, there's going to be so much stuff. They're going to have to stagger it. You can't list it all at once. I mean, because there's so many collectors that would want some of that stuff. I mean, they're going to narrow down maybe their top 5 or 10 cards, but I mean, all of a sudden you swarm all these cards and throw them all on eBay. You're going to lose value quickly.
Yeah, and I know that that was one of the unfortunate things that happened with my stuff. Was I did a lot of deals with another Clay Matthews collector, and we had done trades together before, like trading one-on-ones for one-on-ones, all that good stuff. And I ended up selling him a lot of really nice stuff over the course of 3 or 4 months. And then he ended up flipping them.
Oh,
he decided to get completely out of cards and ended up sending them off to consignment. And then I got to see what they sold for. And I missed out on several $1,000s.
Yeah.
And what I could have made, and mainly in the Prism Finite area.
Yeah.
I had all of them. And
wow.
I sold the first year, the 2012 first year for football. I had the base finite and the auto finite, and I sold them the rainbows of both of those for $2,500. The base finite sold for $3,000 by itself.
I was gonna say, I would think that one alone would be worth that.
And the thing was, I had those cards for more than 10 years. They hadn't been on the market. There was nothing to compare them to. So I made a ton of money selling them at $2,500. Don't get me wrong. I did really well. Yep. But if I knew there was that much money still on it, because it sold for $3,000 raw, the guy who got it graded a 10, PSA 10. I'm like, oh man, if I would have just graded it myself. But
do you have the gold?
Oh, I had all of them.
Yeah.
I sold the full rainbows.
Nice.
I had 3 complete runs of Prism to the finite, and then every other year I had it through the gold and the gold finals. And then Topps Chrome was the same way. I've still got all my rainbows for Topps Chrome minus the supers. I sold them off. But I did really well there.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the gold. I never seen the finite from 2012, but I got a few finites, but I got every gold they ever made. I got those.
Nice.
2012 is a big one, though. That's a big one for all the sports.
It is. It's crazy. Because was 13 the first year for basketball?
I thought, I don't know.
Or did basketball have it in 12?
I do not know that.
Yeah, that's the one I can't remember. I want to say 13 was their first year. The first time they had the 12 design was the retro cards, the throwbacks.
Where's the IRP research department? Vinny. Jeez.
I'm looking at 2012 now.
But
Yeah,
I
they had
did
2012
really well
2012
on
gold, I believe.
the rookie card Superfractor from Chrome. I bought it in 2020 for $1,000 and sold it for $3,500.
Ooh,
And
nice.
I was really happy with that. I think I got pretty much everything out of that I could. But like you
Right.
alluded to earlier, when you sell this stuff off, you got to be real sure you want to do it, because I couldn't afford to buy it back. Not even close.
No. Yeah, and some of my favorites are like the Bowman Chrome Reds, and those are out of 5.
Mhm.
So I'm only missing a couple of those for the complete run of those.
Those
So,
might as well be
that's
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those I might hold on to and hopefully complete the run at one point, but I don't know. That's though, yeah, like you said, I mean, those are sometimes harder to find than the one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm. But it's a weird feeling
It is.
when you start sending off the big ones. It's like, man, I really didn't think this is going to be one I would let go.
Yeah, I've still got a lot to figure out.
Yeah, it's tough, but I don't regret it one bit, other than selling off the initial stuff that I know I could have. I see now that I could have made a hell of a lot more money on.
Yeah.
So that's something I mean, you got to think about, they may be a collector of the same person as you and everything, but I didn't think they would be flipped as quick as they were.
Right.
I mean, it was within 6 months.
It's funny, after I did that post, I had a couple of friendly Ichiro collectors that said that they're probably going to be in the same boat in a few years.
Yeah.
So even another Ichiro collector from out of the US, we were chatting one day, and he said that he was going to have to make a decision probably, and he's a doctor, so I mean he has no issues. There's so he's got an incredible collection, and but he said it's going to come down to who's going to sell first, because we're going to cause a ripple effect, and then that might eventually affect the others as they sell. So that I didn't think about that until after I made that decision. So I was like, well, maybe that I'll get the head start on it. I don't know.
Yeah. And especially with, I mean, a player like Ichiro, where he's such a megastar that tons of people collect him on all different levels. You got the super high end guys, and then you've got guys who can, only afford to collect the base cards, but they do it.
Right.
And my guy was a niche guy, and football defensive guys really don't hold much value for the most part. It's usually the team collectors that stick with those, and that's who I've mainly sold to, was other Packers fans.
I will say that's a hardcore fan base right there.
Yeah, I'm lucky there, where they love their guys and they love them forever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, where if you've got other guys that are starting to say too, like, I don't know where I'm going to be at in a couple years. How much does that affect your thought process? Because again, like we've discussed, it's not an easy decision to begin with, but then you start hearing like, well, I'm in the same boat. I don't know what I really want to do, but maybe the hobby's losing a little of its luster, or just the chase of trying to find stuff when a lot of these cards are either in collections like yours, or you have all these new folks coming in and they're just like, we discussed earlier, they're throwing money at shit and just like, I want it. I don't care what the price is at a show or whatever, and they're putting it away. And keep going through an eBay search, a Facebook search, Instagram. You're going on Blowout, if people still do that. And you're not seeing really anything. You're seeing the same stuff over and over, which again, some of the stuff's nice, but it's like, well, I don't want to spend for that because I've already got it. And I know I got it for this. so I don't need to buy it. But it's like, how much of that comes into play of like you had said, like I want to jump the gun here, but I don't want to jump the gun so much where I'm like sort of foolhardily just starting with the collection because I want to try to beat the other people to like the starting line.
I mean, again, you know, not having it's not insured, you know, that hurricane really freaked me out. And then, you know, honestly, with so much stuff, it's like my wife wouldn't know what to do if something were to happen to me. I mean, just a ton of stuff, not knowing the rarity of things, certain cards. You know, I have everything in boxes. There's no description. They're in top loaders or whatever. You know, there's no description on the card. Some cards don't have to be numbered to be valuable. You just gotta know what it is. It's like if you know, you know type situation. You know, so a lot of the cards are like that. So you could look at it and be like, oh, that's just a base card. No, it's not. You know, it's worth a considerable amount of money. You know, I mean, so you know, again, and something were to happen to me, who's going to be out the door saying, let me help you liquidate your husband's collection? You know, it's like she wouldn't know the difference, you know, and I would hate for her to go through that on top of whatever, you know, with me she's dealing with. And now all this is thrown on top of her and she don't want to deal with it probably, you know, of course. And she doesn't know what direction to take. You know, some people have plans put in place, but with so much stuff, I mean, that's just too much to even put on, you know, in somebody else's lap. Here, this happened to me. You deal with this. It's like you gotta. I mean, but if I narrow it down to like maybe 36 cards, much more manageable to take care of if something were to happen. And for her to know what, I mean, at that point, I can make a detailed spreadsheet and keep up with sales numbers every year for however long. That way, boom, something happens. Here's this card. Here's what it is. Here's what the last one sold for, and everything's there. I mean, it's simple. It'll be easy, and I can put everything in a little box, its own box, very easy to move around, put away, hide, whatever. Put it in a safety deposit box. Very easy, very manageable.
And then even have like a printed spreadsheet. Put that thing in there. Hey, dated January 2025. Okay, 6 months goes by. July 2025. That replaces the old one. So I mean, you're keeping up to date as best you can. So and you just have on the back maybe a sticker that says A1. Okay, I'm going to the spreadsheet. A1's right there. Okay, that's a sweet spot 01 writing copper or something like that. And you're like, oh man, okay, that's that price. So just
the wife knows to call Joey if something happens to me.
That's what I'm watching right now, watching the Bradley Claus on the old TV on silent. So,
but yeah, it's just one of those things that as you get older, you know, you start thinking about things differently, seeing things differently. My kids are getting a little older, you know, just need to start just, you know, kind of tying up loose ends. Just make sure everything's set in a path that would be easier and comfortable for them if something were to happen.
Yeah, somewhere you're not. They're already going to be, in our minds, burdened with whatever's going on in our demise. You don't need to have all this other. I don't want to say shit, but it's like to them, like you said, what the fuck do I do with this? I don't have a goddamn clue. What is this?
Right.
So at least you have something there where it's like, okay, you got some semblance of a path instead of.
Here's 4,000 each row card.
To Rebecca, you're like, I got these cards. What?
Yeah.
What the hell do I do with them?
Right.
No, I don't envy you. I don't, because that just. I know with Michael and like the Packers group, that's one segment of the populace, but you got Ichiro, who's like a international superstar and like you said, a lovable guy. He doesn't do any of his bullshit and fuck around and all his nonsense, and he's just seems like a good salt of the earth type fella, where everybody that encounters him likes him or Like I remember Otani going up to him, like he wants to meet him. That's like again, that's his Willie Mays, his Ken Griffey Jr.
Yep.
That they want to meet this guy because he isn't a Terrell Owens or Chad Johnson or Dick Weed Smith out there just being a prick. So you can only imagine like the lust from the collectors when they start seeing like, oh well, this is the first one going up, and so yeah, that I'd follow Michael's and Steve's type of advice and lead, and either I think Ryan, what did he do? He does 702. Somebody up in Vermont, I think 702 Sports Cards, I think is who they co-sign through like RBI Crew 7 when they buy the big collections. Because I know some of my stuff went out there, stuff that they didn't think they could piece out at the show or at the shop in St. Louis. But yeah, MC Sports is another one. But Probstein's the one that I know does the staggered endings where it doesn't have like the bulk like 7:04 p.m. ending, and you're just sitting there with the, unless you got like a Gixxon or some sort of sniping tool. Even then, you're like you said, you want to get the one card, or you get like $200, and I want to get something. But if they all go off at the same time, and I'm looking at that one really hard, and that goes for like a Fleer, and you don't have this with Ichiro, but like maybe a Terrell Davis Fleer 24 karat gold brilliance, and you're like, I got this number. Then we go to this number, and it still goes for that number. You're like, well, all these other ones are gone now too. So
right,
I'm gonna throw my computer.
I can't even remember who that seller was, but like over an 18-month period, I know you and me both were watching stuff and finding stuff, and I know Vinny was even stumbling across stuff from that one seller, and it sucks because it's like, okay, I have all this on my watch list, but I know this one ends at X time. Hey, Dave, any chance you can bid on this card for me? This is my max and everything else. And
you talking about the guy with the old NT stuff?
No, not that guy. I don't even remember who the hell the seller was, but
I don't think it was TNT. I don't think he had some, but I don't think he had it.
I don't remember who it was, Dave. And it's like, that's not important because like, I don't pay attention to stuff really much these days. So that's kind of irrelevant. But at the same time, it never failed that for multiple weeks, it's like, crap, I can't bid on all these. I need these. And it's actually, I should say, I want these. I don't need them. I want them. It's never a need, but the collector mindset is it's a need. But not everybody like has close enough friends to where it's like you can't reach out to like. So the fact of a lot of them not doing staggered listings actually hurts the person who's consigned stuff to them. It also hurts them because they could have made even more money. But they're also going to do what's easiest, fastest, most economical for them to be able to do something in bulk. So like there's the positives and the negatives from that aspect. But unless you have a sniping tool and you take your time and you do your due diligence and you put in all your bids for all your stuff that you want, still, you still may be out of the loop because by the time you have it set on your snipe, you could have been outbid from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I have an eBay. I've sold and bought on there since like '98. I've been on there for like a really long time. And so like some stuff like over the years I've just listed myself and just let it go at auction and stuff like that. Stuff I was comfortable that I thought would do well. And I never really been upset by anything that sold because if there's no shenanigans going on, you let it go, real eyes, real people that are interested, I think it does okay. But I mean, you need to list it properly. Your title needs to be good. Your pictures need to be good. Me on the East Coast, anywhere from like 9:30 to 11 p.m. It's stuff people don't think about, and that's why you get steals. But you don't need your auctions in the afternoon, in the morning. You want people to be home for hopefully after work. At nighttime. Sometimes I would do it like on a Thursday football game. People want a Thursday football game, scouring, having a few beers, a little loosey goosey. Let's see what's going on eBay. It's just stuff people don't think about. But I think about it, and it's just one of those things. But I mean, sometimes you see cards listed on there, horrible pictures, and terrible things, and then sometimes people will come up, oh, that's the comp on that card. No, it's not. Not all comps are equal. I'm like, and then man, they'll drive that stake hard, and I'm like, nah, no. And then you'll find one that sells, afterwards, and like 6 months later, and it sells for twice as much as that one. But they had the 2012 Topps Chrome image variations. The first year they did the image variations, and Ichiro had one, and those things fell like one in a little over 3 cases, and there were 20 players in the set. So I was excited for the Ichiro, and there was a website that had what all the images variations look like, the base and the variation, so you could compare. And some of them were only a couple frames different, from like batting to just. So there's no refractor, there's no special way. You just had to know what you're looking for. And I ended up buying 2 cases, and me and a buddy split a case, and we didn't pull any. So I was like, we went through it like 5 times. We knew what the players were, stacked them all up, went through them, nothing. Well, I ended up buying like the Ichiro, and then I really thought the idea was cool, so I really wanted to put the set together. But I ran into the issue with that being Bryce Harper's rookie year, and that is not cheap. So right away, I was like, well, I'm not gonna. I kind of gave up on it, but I had like 5 or 6 cards, and those things are like taking off like crazy. There's a whole group of guys that are into these image variations like crazy. And I sent a guy a picture. I had the Verlander. I had Troy Tulowitzki. Of course, the Ichiro wasn't selling. And then I had Verlander. Oh, Lincecum. I had Lincecum. And had Lincecum, Verlander, and Tulo. So I sent a picture to the guy. He's big on Instagram. I'm like, hey, I can't find any sales history on these. He's like, because there isn't any. He's like, how much do you want for them? I'm like, well, I think I might want to put them in auction so I can see what the value is. Mm-hmm. And he was really interested in making a deal for it. And I'm like, no, I'm just gonna let him run at auction. And man, those things went nuts. Like the Verlander went for like 1,100. And I couldn't. Yeah, the Lincecum went for almost 800. He's like, that's the most expensive Lincecum card out, like joking around. And I'm like, and the Tulo went for almost 400. And I was just like, but now I got the Ichiro, and he saw my post. He's like, how much for the Ichiro? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can put a price on it.
Is that like master set builders like that are going for those?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of guys are like I was. They want to put the whole full run of all these image variations, but that is the first year they did it. Of course, the first year they do these things turn into like major sets. And for some reason, it took a while for these things to catch on. I guess for one, because they're not shiny, they look base. I mean, there's not really much to differentiate them from the base card to begin with, unless you look at the back of the number or what to look for. I guarantee you some got thrown away. Some are sitting in boxes that they don't even know what they are. But I mean, it's the image variations of Roy Halladay. It's him batting. If you pull if you pull a card of Roy Halladay batting, you're gonna like, all right, And this is before he got in the Hall of Fame and everything. So it's like, who knows? And they're super limited. I mean, there's no print run. I'm guessing maybe 20 or less, if I had to guess, but nobody knows for sure. But I bought that Ichiro for $99. I remember that, $99. I remember it popped up. I've been waiting for it, and finally for $99, I couldn't get PayPal up fast enough.
Yeah, we all have stories like that where it's something gets listed and it's like you can't hit the buy it now fast enough to pay for it. Like,
Mhm.
come on, damn it! Like, move faster.
Yep.
And then you have situations like Dave who watches a card and does one of these and then misses out and then cusses when he loses out on acquiring said card.
Wow, trying to piece together funds and see how I'm going to work that out. I mean, that's
I get
always
it. I get it.
so.
I
Yeah,
in the mindset of people nowadays, I'm not even a collector anymore.
Well, I was just kind of scrolling through my actual Instagram feed, my posts and everything, and I'm like, I always do the year-end Christmas tree deal of my pickups. Yeah, it's going to be a Charlie Brown tree this year. I did not buy very much. It was all selling.
But you got some huge stuff though.
I got some pretty nice stuff of Rogers and Favre this year.
Yeah. So it may be Charlie Brown, but it's going to be
it'll be
one
quality.
of those. Exactly.
Yeah. I was just like, man, usually I have to try to figure out how to fit 20 or 25 cards on there. Yeah, it's not. I don't even know if it's a dozen this year.
Yeah. And then there's somebody like me. They're my Christmas tree, 2 cards. No.
Yeah. I got a stump.
I take that back. Like there's more than a card, but Christmas episode's right around the corner, and
I don't think it'd be, these Christmas tree things, like, they're cool, but I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, man. If it's a year where you only get like 2 really great cards, I mean, that shouldn't be anything to be ashamed of. And I think that's why people make such a big deal about these things. People on these Instagrams, there's always people trying to rip people off or sell things or do all these things. But I think they look at people's collection and they don't realize how long it took them to make it.
Right.
It takes time to do anything that's worth doing. For one, hopefully you were raised to believe that, but doing it the right way, organically, I always say, you'll feel better about yourself at the end of the day, for one. But yeah, I mean, if you have a couple good big cards and that's all you get for the whole year, that's awesome. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the way it was with the rare Clay Matthews stuff. It got to the point where, I mean, I'd go, 6 months without picking something up because nothing has popped up that I need.
Yeah,
wanted.
That too.
And that's where I kind of, I guess, got there too, because I mean, religiously for years, I mean, scouring eBay 12, 15 times a day. I mean, routine, getting up an hour early before work, looking on eBay because, in case anything got listed in Japan, I might, while I was sleeping. So I want to, it's a whole mindset. But you get to a point where it's like you scour and you're scouring less because you're not finding anything, and it's less and less. And now it's just like, I don't know. It just, again, and because I have fellow Ichiro collectors and they'll post a card and I didn't have, I've been looking for, and I'll go back and look. I don't even like message them. I'll look at eBay sales and I'm like, yep, I missed it because I'm not looking like I used to. So it's like, well,
yeah. Yeah, I was obsessive compulsive with the searching and the checking.
Yep.
That's an understatement, Michael.
Yeah, I look upwards of triple digits a day.
Yep. Newly listed, refresh.
Yep. 1000%. Yep. And I mean, I even save searches for the misspellings of the name.
Yep.
Because a lot of people would leave out a T in Matthews.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, I mean, it was, yeah. Now it's to the point where I'm still looking for the same card I've been looking for since 2012. And I've only seen a picture. I only saw a picture of it in a magazine.
Don't say it. I wouldn't say it.
He said it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was from the Panini. I think
Black Friday.
And I think it was the 2012 was the first year for Black Friday stuff with Panini. It was that Andrew Luck rookie class that just pushed everything. But Clay Matthews was in the Black Friday set. He has a cracked ice auto. Ooh. They were not serial numbered, but it was short printed to 3.
Yeah.
And I saw a picture of a guy who pulled it in a car shop on Black Friday, and that's the only time I've ever seen an image of the card.
That's the cool thing. Like some of the stuff, it's like you just want to see an image of it to know it's out there. Somebody has it somewhere. But again, I mean, was that the only one, or all the rest of the packs, or you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that one has eluded me. That one I would actually still buy that one.
That's like the Steph Curry Topps Chrome Super. It's never been seen.
Nope. And
it's got to be. But here's the only other thing is, unless it's in a Japanese collector's hands, because those guys, man, they're very humble, a lot of them, and a lot of them just keep to themselves, and they don't show any of their collection.
Correct.
So that's possible.
Yep. You don't see those cards until they decide to sell out, and some big time person posts, "Hey, check out a card that has never been seen, and it's 15 years old."
Yeah, there's the Essential Credentials Ichiro rookie numbered to 29. There was a guy in Japan that had 7 of them.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've been trying to find one for years, and then one popped up, and the guy like during the COVID thing, and he wanted like 25,000 or something like that. and that's another thing. I'm like, that's again, I thought it was considerably high even during the pandemic, and I'm like, well, that ship has sailed. I'm just going to accept that, and it was hard to accept that because that was one of my big wants. But a guy knew, he messaged me about it. Hey, how much do you think this card's worth? And I was like, I would think around 8,000. That's really where I thought it was worth. And he put money and cash in cards to trade for it up to around $20,000.
Jeez.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I can't do that. Or I could, but I'm not going to.
No.
See, and I would rather, I think for me, I would rather it be, I look at a card and, $25,000. I'd rather it be that far in the stratosphere than being just enough to where I still probably couldn't afford it, but I'm going to try to find a way to get it.
Right.
And then I stress out over that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'd rather it just be unattainable.
Yeah.
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 You're trying to count your pennies and like, what can I trade to get up to that? It's like, no, 25 grand. That's a new vehicle, or that's a very good used vehicle. That's a chunk of college. That's a down payment on a house. It's life. I love cardboard, but life every time comes before cardboard, especially with that place. Unless, again, you win that $1 billion Powerball, then it's like, okay, we might make a few of these stupid purchases along the way.
Right.
What I'm doing is I'm going on eBay and hitting buy it now on all the cards I've been watching on eBay for the last decade that are still there because they're so high priced. I'm going to hit buy it now on them, and then I'm going to rent a private jet and fly around and pick them all up across the country.
Stop at card shops along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Like while you're out.
Yep.
There will be signs. You won't know that I hit the lottery, but maybe you'll see signs.
Yeah.
Is that Michael? Is that a private jet with a sign on the back that says Clay Matthews bound? What?
Yeah.
it'd be one of those things. If that ever did happen, man, you would have to get some of your collector buddies, and just
Hell
do,
yeah.
hey, man, we're going to go for like a week, 5 days, whatever we can make work. And man, it's on me. We're going to go on a trip and we're going to have some fun. We're going to travel around. I mean,
Open some cases, some boxes.
Yes.
yeah. I mean, that would be just so freaking awesome.
All expense paid trip to National and then to 2 expos in Canada. Let's go.
Yep.
Is that a party bus? Why, yeah. Yes, it is.
And it bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not rented. It's not rented either.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
My
IRC party bus.
My brother's buddy always said, he goes, Vinny, if you ever hit the lotto, he goes, just hire me as a chauffeur. He goes, I'll just cart your ass around I said, Brian, I said, that's a beautiful idea. You're my brother's best friend. And I think that would be an excellent job for you. But you'd have to move to Michigan because it'd be difficult for this job to be applicable in Pennsylvania. But I could do that in a heartbeat. Like
I'd take that job. I'd move to Michigan to take that job.
Yeah.
Just make sure I get a decent salary. I'm good.
There is nothing in this hobby better. Like me, the Christmas episode's in 2 weeks. I got to ship shit out sooner than later. I have to get to the getting. And there is nothing in this hobby that brings me more joy than seeing all my buddies see these cards, and it's just like, yep. And then you tell me to go screw myself a dozen times during the show. Well, that's just Dave. And then it's just like there's nothing like the hobby given to other people like Brad does. It just everybody else that does it. And it doesn't and we don't want nothing. We used to bitch at somebody if they send us something, but it's just like Bob said, it's that feeling. He said it last year after the Christmas. It's that feeling you get, and it's great. Yep. And I don't care. It just don't matter. It's just you find some of your best friends you ever had in this hobby. So, and it doesn't matter about the cards. It's like so secondary.
I'm just glad I'm not going.
Yep, I'll be heading to the post office tomorrow.
I was just there today.
I got to mail stuff to my niece. She's pregnant. She's gonna have the baby before she gets the stuff that we bought her. It's like, dang, I got to get going here.
You have all this time off, Vinny. Like, what the hell's your problem?
Well,
hey, better half. Let's go to the post office.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just got to package the stuff up. Your stuff's not becoming individually wrapped this year. I will tell you that. That will not happen again.
Darn.
No use of fractions. No.
Oh, God.
I can't.
So I got to ask: is Bob last on the agenda this year?
We have to talk about the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have some thoughts on something. So.
Okay.
Well, Bob, I have a question for you.
Let's not take away from Ray being here.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
Go ahead, Ray.
Sorry,
go ahead, Ray.
Bob Lewis, I got a question for you.
What's up, Ray?
So, Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you pull that Paul Skeens MLB debut patch auto. What are you doing with that?
Well,
I wouldn't be have to think that hard.
It wouldn't be an easy decision, but I probably would move it considering reviewing like historical trends in my own hobby life, and just he could end up being the greatest pitcher of all time, and maybe I sold too soon. But way more times I've held something longer than I should have. The hype has never been greater right now than it had, forever. So, and then with those proceeds, I could buy like other nice representations of him for my collection. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that, I mean, the eyes that would get on that, like that would be an example of a card I would use a big auction house on. You know, that would be part of their promotional, like for the auction, for the overall auction, I imagine. And it's that level of a card, I think, right now, especially after winning Rookie of the Year. And there's never been a buzz around a player like that around here for quite some time. And living up to the expectations and then some, you know, the even all like the peripheral stuff with his, you know, his girl and her profile and just all of that is kind of fun, you know. And that translates into it'd probably be best to sell this. As much as that wouldn't be like a flippant decision, but I think the pros would outweigh the cons in that one. And again, for where I'm at in life right now, yeah, that would definitely factor into all of that as well. So yeah, I saw what was a Superfractor auto was pulled, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the Superfractor auto, the non-auto, and the rookie debut super, all three of them have been pulled.
So,
Okay, Bob, you saw what the Steelers or the Pirates were offering for that card, right?
no.
30 years, season
Behind
tickets,
home plate. Behind
two
home plate.
2 tickets each home game for 30 years, and you got a meet and greet with Skeens. Maybe you got some autograph stuff from him too, and even his girlfriend said that she would up the ante and you could sit with her in her suite.
Oh, jeez.
I know.
That's pretty wild. I've never heard of any kind of like offer like
Yeah.
that from a team.
Yeah. Pirates did that. I was like, man. I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, again, I live in Florida, so it wouldn't make any sense to me. But I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
again, I don't know how close to the stadium you are, but you know,
8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
30 years, right behind home plate.
I would be 73 years old, and I would be you probably would be known as that guy who pulled that card who got free. You know,
Yep. You get
That's
your own
pretty
baseball
cool.
card made.
I would definitely be in the Allen and Ginter set for sure.
But that owner would make you pay for playoff seats if they make.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm sure I would have to.
Parking wouldn't be comped either.
No.
Yeah, well, thankfully I can take the trolley and I don't have to pay for parking. I just have to deal with a bunch of yinzers on the trolley. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I can't wait to tell my dad that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they were offering a few more things with that. I can't remember everything, but
It was like what jerseys, like a meet and greet, then maybe like signed bats, and I don't know if you
Yeah.
I think you got to go warm up with the team.
oh,
Yeah.
you got to host your own, was it softball tournament or baseball tournament with your friends and at the stadium, and then I don't know if that stadium or another stadium, and you had some Pirates I think coaches that would coach the game. Yeah, it was something like that too. I was like, this is crazy.
That is
I might
pretty wild.
take
I'll
the
look
deal
it up.
if they pay Rowdy Tellas the $400,000 that he was supposed
Yes.
to make.
They took away from him. Yeah.
Even worse, it was
Yeah.
actually only 200.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
You needed 4 plate
Yeah,
appearances.
that's why they're the Pirates, and that's why the Dodgers signed, who they signed recently. So, didn't they sign Blake Snell
Blake
or
Snell.
something?
Yeah, they got Blake Snell.
And there were like rumors not too long ago they were after Corbin Burns. I'm like, don't you guys have enough? I mean, dude.
They
They're They're going to
I
do
saw
something
it-
about this deferred stuff. This deferred stuff is going to have to be taken care of.
They have
Yeah.
over $1 billion in deferred stuff. I saw a graphic of it today.
ESPN.com had that, and I'm like, through like 2044, 2048. There's like Mookie, Shohei, Blake, Will Smith, Freeman, someone else.
It's so
But
crazy.
it's
I
just
Teoscar, I think,
Probably
was,
Yamamoto.
maybe. I mean, it's just insane. Where, and again, it's sort of like the old Bobby Bonilla, but again, Bobby Bonilla, he was paid 30 years down the road, and Bobby Bonilla never really. He was decent, but he never really lived up to that Pittsburgh.
Right.
His performance there when you had Bonds protecting you and Jay Bell and Jeff King and all these other guys, Spanky Lavalier. So Vince, like, so you had all these people around you, then you go somewhere else, and it's like now you're supposed to be the slugger, and now you get paid $1 million every July 1st through 2024, 2025.
yeah.
So this
That's-
is what they're giving away. We mentioned the 2 season tickets for the next 30 years behind home plate. Ray brought up a softball game for 30 at PNC Park, plus coaching from Pirates alumni. A spring training experience like no other. Like, I don't know exactly what that means. Private tour.
Well,
of
it's never
Pirate
been like
City.
any other, so nobody does.
Private tour of Pirate City and the park, meet and greet with Skeens, 2 autographed jerseys, take batting practice, warm up with the team, and other unique experiences at Pirate City and the park. So
Wow.
there you go. That was courtesy of the Forbes article I was able to find.
Yeah, I didn't see the baseball helmet full of ice cream, so I'd be out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that card right there, that's the type of card you send off to Golden. Even though you do not like Golden, that's where it goes.
Well, it's funny. Golden put out after the Pirates did say, "Don't do that. Sell it to me. You can buy a house. You can put your kids through college. You can buy a car. You know,
Yep.
all this stuff." He's like, "Run it through us."
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm not a big fan of all that with him, but yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
He's not a lot of us. I'm speaking for myself, but most of us here aren't a huge fan of him. But he is a marketing genius, and like he puts his money where his mouth is. He's not afraid to make deals in order to bring something to auction through his company. Like,
Yeah.
You guys watch his Netflix stuff?
I did.
I watched both seasons.
Yep.
Not yet.
Yeah, the freaking walking in.
It was
to
more
the
of
guy,
hate watching than anything.
with
but,
the guy with the T2, with the T206.
man, the wife watched
All
it
the
with
cash,
me as
that
well.
big cash bundles.
Yeah, the $2 million in cash that they actually had to go pick up at the fucking mint or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What is this?" He said, "You said this is worth what, 30 million?" And you bring me what?
That's just a flex. That's just a flex. Some cool stuff. I mean, like, but on the flip side, if you follow him on Instagram or YouTube or anything along those lines, like you already know what the big stuff is, anyways.
Right.
Mhm.
And if it reaches a certain point, not necessarily a record or high, they post all that shit on Instagram. So like, there is no surprises.
Right.
No.
Yeah, my buddy pulled a Burrow rookie. It was like one of those Panini things where they wore a hat or something for a photo shoot. So all of a sudden it's like a game used hat type situation thing. But it was a piece of the logo. It was prime. It was like numbered 3 or 5, and it was a rookie, so he pulled it, and it was like one of the auction house, and we were gonna go back and forth. I told him put it on eBay, just sell it yourself, and he got talked into it, and they're like, man, you're gonna get like $4,000 for this thing, and he had it on eBay and he got offered 2,500. I told him to take it, and he didn't. He put it on one of the auction houses and sold for $1,200.
Oof.
I told him he should have took the 2,500.
Yep.
But he's newer, and he was in. I mean, he's really in that Panini. He got out of it. I mean, he got into the boom, so he's in that Panini stuff. And I'm told him like this isn't going to last. You need to sell this stuff when it's hot.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the clock was ticking on them for the last couple of years now when they lost the licenses.
Yep. Like $2,500. I'm like, so he offers that. You need to take that. But
I know from some of the circles that I dabble in on Facebook, there's people who consign stuff through Golden, and they were promised certain things, and then Golden didn't even promote them.
Right.
And they lost money.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told him, like, and then he was like, there was like 4 hours before the auction ended. He's like, he messaged me, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't have a good feeling about it. And whoever his guy was from the auction house, he's like, hey, should I be concerned? He's like, absolutely not. And then of course, it sold. And I'm like, what did he say back to you? He's like, he didn't respond to me after that. I'm like, yeah.
That's because they got 20% from you and 20% from the buyer.
Yeah.
Are they monthly now? Golden auctions?
I don't know.
I have no idea. I would imagine they probably have monthly or maybe even weekly auctions, and then they have what they call premier auctions.
So, because like some of those, I've never dealt with it, but like some of them, like Heritage, or don't they have like catalogs that like months in advance that these game used Jackie Robinson pants are like going up or whatever,
I think Heritage is the only one that puts those real nice catalogs together, aren't they?
Oh, really? Okay.
For sports,
Robert Edwards, is Robert Edwards one or something?
They might do that too.
Sotheby's does it, but it's not sports related.
Yeah.
But it's one of them you can sign up. It's free. You just open an account and they'll send you a catalog. And it's cool to look back through that stuff.
Yeah.
And you see that stuff in Heritage, and you're like, man, I really hope Panini and Topps don't win it because I know they're cutting it up.
Yep.
You hope they do. I mean, the way they word everything now, you don't know what's going where, what is what on what card. That's
I'd rather.
I'm old school as far as that goes. I'm very old school as far as that goes. The old upper deck stuff is labeled on the back of what's from. Sometimes it'll be very specific on a game, or if it's pants, if it's jersey. You don't get that. It's just from it could be. They could put an Ichiro or a patch from the Mariners now and say it's game used patch, but did Ichiro wear the jersey or did somebody else wear the jersey? That's where I think they get around a lot of that.
Now they just say this is not authentic for anything. It's just like a jersey they got at Gabriel Brothers or something and put it on there.
Well, somebody tore apart a Panini card, and on the back of it, they actually cut the card apart. It was just a base little single color swatch or whatever, and they peeled it off, and it was off of a Dick's Sporting Goods jersey. I'm like, what? I don't know.
Or wasn't there a player that he put on like 30 jerseys at once or something, and just like wore them?
Mark Ingram.
Yes. Yeah. Ingram. Yeah.
It's the famous photo, Mark Ingram.
No.
It's like, there's my event worn. That's what that means.
Yeah, right. Event worn.
Or they say player worn. It's player worn.
Yeah, player worn and event worn.
Yep.
Yeah, then it's not from any specific event, time, game, player, person. Then how does it exist?
Right.
Guaranteed to be a piece. Oh crap! Basically.
Yeah. There's fabric on the front of the card.
Since Panini is on the NFL license, I think there's maybe been 3 or 4 sets that you knew specifics of.
Right.
I've got one from Limited that was game day swatches that actually is game dated on the front and on the back. It actually says in the blurb, Clay Matthews used in the game, Clay Matthews on December, blah, 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 2010, 2011. It actually says it on there. But they only did that a couple times. Other than that, it's been a lot of trash for a lot of years now.
I got a stick piece card right here from Lemieux.
Uh-huh.
This enclosed game-worn material is guaranteed by Panini America. It's a friggin' stick. How do you wear a stick?
It's because it's generic wording. Like, they don't deviate from.
No.
Well, and
what's a shame is like these card companies are making more money than they ever had right now.
yep.
Oh,
And
100%.
And back in the day, you allotted more people in your company to go to these events to follow things and watch players sign things and get these items from players. But now you can't do it, and you're making the most money than you ever had before. It's just greedy, and it's just that breaker culture right now. It's taken away from all the greatness. It really is.
Yep.
One of the group chats, somebody sent a link to, I think it might have been an Instagram. I can't remember. It's not the point. The guy was signing his superfractor, and you know how they like make a section cloudy kind of, or like where the signature, and he totally just signed on his where he was at, like the middle of the card. Like it's like you had one job, that's kind of like the tagline for it. And so you messed up your superfractor. Or they'd sign upside down, or was that you, Michael? It said like you have it's the dad's signature or something on cards, or
all the Clay Matthews autographs that came out in Panini products this year are sticker autographs, and they're his dad's stickers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Quality control at its finest.
Yep.
And I like there's some things I don't mind because I'm easily amused. So like if I have like a Randy Moss that he's in the picture, he's in the Vikings, but it's like a gray and black jersey, from the Raiders, like stuff like that doesn't bother me. But like I wouldn't pay inordinate amounts for anything like that. But yeah, that's kind of just like it was. I had an old from that Gridiron Gear era. It was like a Warren Moon in the Oilers, but it was like Chiefs colors or something, or something like that. And it was a red jersey. Maybe it was like a Pro Bowl or something, but I was just weird. It was the first time, like as a kid, I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. And I had no real way to like make sense of it. And then I guess it's more common than I realized. At the time.
Everything with sticker autos is like, I guess if there was a few times where they were, had issues where they had to use sticker autos, but back in the day when they did sticker autos, when it was they did them, it was part of the design of the card. They made it look like it was part of the card, but now it's just like boom, it's slapped on there, and there you have it. It's like, really, that's what you're giving to us? And how much again, I haven't bought a freaking box of cards in years, but I'm like, these boxes are going for $300 to $500, $700 a box, and that's what you're giving people. And it's funny, like Topps did there was a post, I follow them on Facebook, and they did a thing, and it was like they opened up a box and they showed these new the lineup cards from the dugout, but because technology, the lineup cards are printed out. They're not signed, they're not filled out by anybody anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're like, oh, the player signed them. It's a sticker auto next to their name. I'm like, I wouldn't want that. And it's funny. I never comment on these things. I commented on it. I'm like, I go, the collectors deserve better. I go, this is ridiculous. And 3 or 4 people are like, you should be lucky just to get an auto. I'm like, no. That's what you've been tricked into feeling. That's what you've been tricked. And all of a sudden, I got like 50 freaking people heart and like my comment, and that people were like, you're the one that does or is delusional and don't know what you should be looking for or expecting from these companies. But these are these people probably in the last 8 to 10 years that have been in the hobby, and this is what they know, and this is what they think is the way the hobby should be going.
Two
That's-
words: Jeff Morris. Watch any episode with him on our show. I rest my case because he tells it how it is with those companies, the way it used to be. It
Yep.
was all about innovation. It was all about the collector. There was tons of money being made, but they put thought and effort into everything because it was a competition.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, Ray, even when it was a sticker, it would be, there'd be a special window for it, and it would be like a sunken in under, in between, like they designed the card
embedded.
around it.
Yeah.
So it embedded into it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew it was I don't even realize maybe some of the cards I had early on, unless it was obvious that it was a sticker. And if you don't notice, that's kind of the point. You would hope.
Right. And it's funny, like Upper Deck did those for a long time, but I mean they were really neat. And you really had to like kind of tilt the card to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is a sticker. I mean, whatever they did. I mean, why other card companies are picking up on it and running with it or taking, it's a shame. I mean, I don't know. I would not want to be a collector in the current modern era myself. Again, people, different strokes for different folks, and I wouldn't, complain about anybody that does that, because everybody sees things differently. So I have nothing bad to say about them, but for me personally, it's just not my cup of tea.
Donruss Leaf Playoff did it right back in the day.
Yep.
I mean, remember they used to even like stamp the card, with a sticker into the card,
Mm-hmm.
and you had like the, embedded into it.
Yep.
And
It
to
would
be
say authentic
embossed in there,
signature.
too.
Yep.
Yep, embossed in there somewhere. And I've got a Braille somewhere around here. But you could sit there and look and say, okay, they'll say it on the back, authentic Don Rosado or whatever. And then on the front, you'd see the embossed, like they use a national for their stamping there too.
Yep.
Didn't
I got-
Autographic use like a stamp, a
They used
Skybox
a seal.
Autographics?
It was like a seal stamp.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're
But
gonna
also-
do a giveaway, and that's what I think they've gotten away from. I remember, like, if Topps is gonna do something with the lineup card, have it as a redemption. I'd rather
Yes.
see that as a
I want the
redemption,
whole one.
like a
Well,
whole.
Well, it's funny because the person, when I commented on it, they said you should feel lucky that you pulled an auto, even if it's a sticker, and it's not a redemption that you're waiting on, because redemptions have gotten so far off base because majority of times you don't even get them anymore.
That's an Ozzie Ian signature down there.
That's correct. From the first game at Marlins Park.
Now that
Oh,
would
really?
be
JJ signature right there.
Have that as a redemption where, again, hey, we have X amount of these, we have 25, we have 100, we have 50, whatever it is, and you put them in a pile wherever you have them in your warehouse, and then as the redemptions come in, you can just pluck it off and boom, send it out, instead of giving collectors this bullshit you've been spoon feeding them, like, we're doing everything we can for you guys. No, you're doing the least amount you can for us. The least. It's always the same colors and refractors or prisms, and then you add the Call of the Wild and Jack Hanna now. Every snakeskin, the toad, sloth. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's every animal, and again, that's cool if you're like 6 or 8. I mean,
Taco
it's-
fractors, man. Come on, taco fractors.
Did you see what Topps just released for baseball? They've got these special packs that are going to have, I think it's like 4 or 5 cards in them.
the Bowman
And-
Chrome, whatever, the Bowman Draft.
Yeah, it's going to be sunflower seeds, bubble gum, I can't. There were two other patterns.
Bacon or something.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I saw that and I'm just like, you.
I mean, my whole thing, right? So if Fanatics wants to be like a huge role in this, I mean, they're invested in this, obviously. And
Mhm.
supposedly, I guess investors are already pulling out because they're not performing as expected. I saw an article about that.
Yeah.
But so everything with them, they're around the players all the time. Why not start getting like game use cleats, game use jerseys, game use things, gloves? Yeah, gloves are harder, but I completely understand that. But batting gloves, whatever. Or say, you know what? We're gonna get a special meet and greet. We're gonna bring you to to watch a game. I mean, offer these experiences as redemptions. I mean, if you really want to make some awesome experiences for people, for fans, I mean, why would you not do that?
Well,
They'd rather charge you $1,000 to go to Fanatics Fest.
charge you $250 to meet Dale Swaim.
Well, hell, I mean, the prices of boxes of cards are $500 or more. I mean, we're getting there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It used to be like a box of, the flagship like football score used to be like $80, and now I think they're around 200.
Man, I remember like in the mid 80s or 2000 or early 2000s for Upper Deck SP stuff. I mean, that was the premier stuff. It was $99 a box. You're like, man, $100 for a box? That's crazy. But I mean, you could pull some ridiculous stuff, but it's like $100 for a box was a lot.
Well, 0304 Exquisite Basketball, which is one of the most important products ever made, was $500 a box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now if they made anything close to that nice, I wouldn't
20 grand.
Yeah, easy. Because there's nothing currently out there as nice as that.
Right.
Because
I mean, Topps 5-star for baseball 2012. I mean, that stuff right off that was 500.
Yeah.
And those it was like all the cards were one pack and they're bounced around in a box. They're all chipped up and everything, very thick cut.
Yeah, there's some awesome cards in there, but almost all of them are trashed.
Yep. Yeah, everybody comments, "Oh, it's in rough shape. It's got." I'm like, yeah, that's par for the course.
Yeah, every card's that way. Yeah, if you know every card's that way, the condition doesn't matter.
Right.
Yep. 07 Exquisite was bad football.
Yeah.
And again,
trying to pry that stuff out.
They hand pack it.
Yeah.
But there's still too much room in the packs to where you're probably paying somebody $8 an hour, if that, to freaking hand pack those boxes. They're not like, they don't give two shits.
No.
And it's funny, those Upper Deck Premier cards I was talking about, those packs didn't move in those little packages. Yep. They did not move.
No.
But I think their whole idea too is like, if you're selling that much, you need to think about you're getting this big box with 3 cards in it. But those SP boxes were like that. They were like a single pack.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like the UD Premier. It was always something like a real small, like almost like a 5x7 note card, and that was it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got the back inside there, and it was pinned in there good. Yep. So. But yeah, just minors. I think 2012 or 13. They had a bunch of game used stuff in there. There was like some sort of like an offshoot of that, because that's where I got, I think, 2 of my pairs of Josh Johnson cleats, game used cleats, from that product, and it had again a nice typewritten letter. And again, do something like that, even if it's, you used to see it on like Cards Infinity when he had, I'm trying to remember what was out of California when they had the product where you'd pull and you could scratch it and it'd be something, and it was
like Super Break,
something like that, where okay, I can go, I've got now this certificate basically. Okay, Joe Montana Green News jersey or whatever it would be. Okay, now I scratched off and that comes to me through there. But do something like that and people probably they'll still bark about the price. But when you again added value and like Ray said, if Fanatics is already hand in hand with the fucking Players Association, the players unions, why not? What does it matter when you're dumping billions of dollars into all these sports to add just a little more nugget where it actually makes sense, and then have it sort of, hey, here's like a checklist of stuff. This is going to be in our baseball product. This will be in our football. This will be in our basketball, and have it so you just it's not guaranteed. Okay, impeccable, NT, whatever the highest end. Yeah, you're still going to have a good chance of getting in there, but still, you buy a score pack and maybe you get something cool. Peyton Manning, 16 by 20 framed auto.
Well,
That'd be cool.
2002 UD Authentics.
Yeah,
Talk about it all the time. You know,
Upper Deck rears his head again.
Well, but it was, they were all redemptions, but it was like Upper Deck Authenticated was trying to liquidate some of their autograph stuff. And it wasn't shit players. Some players only had a few different redemptions, but others, like TD, had 13, I think. And as a TD collector, I ended up acquiring 10 of the 13 and getting them all redeemed. So something different, another added value. There wasn't a guarantee that you were going to get a redemption in a box. I don't remember what they were seated at, but you know, it was something else for something to look forward to.
You know, I don't collect football. I have some football cards, but I don't collect them, you know, actively search for them. But, you know, I watch football all the time. You know, this whole week was Cleats for a Cause.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome would you, as a collector, if they offered a redemption of not everybody, because again, they're trying to auction these things off to make money for different charities, but offer a few pairs in redemptions. How awesome would that be?
Yep.
But nothing.
I can help you liquidate those football cards if you ever need to.
It's
Thank you, Bob.
liquidize. It's liquidize.
Yeah.
I can assist with the liquidization of said football cards.
Get
I
the
will keep that in
nomenclature
mind.
right, Bob.
Yeah.
Well, we are coming up on 2 hours. So time check. Ray, I don't know what your time looks like. I know it's 11 o'clock your time because you are on the East Coast, but actually 3 of you are on the East Coast. 4 of you. No, 3. 3 of us are on Central.
Central. Yep.
So, Dave, any other questions that you had for Ray? Ray, are you good to hang for a little bit longer?
If you guys got, yeah, I can hang, but if you guys got some personal stuff that you guys need to discuss, okay.
Nothing personal. Like,
Okay.
This is about the time we try and wrap up, and then we hang out in after hours. But you know,
Okay. No, I'm good then.
And then after hours is free reign. But since Bob, brought up having to discuss, Christmas episode, we could definitely
not
do that
that
after
serious.
hours.
Bob was like, break out the gavel.
Yeah, it can be. It's more. Well, it's more of a request than anything, but yeah, and it can be settled through a text. I mean, yeah, it's not that serious.
Well, we can talk about it after hours.
We'll finish on this then. So, Ray, hypothetically, let's say you move all but like the 30, 40 cards that you're really attached to or really have some sort of sentimental meaning, or you're like, I just can't move this because rarity, whatever. Is there anything else you collect, or would there be anything else you collected going forward, or would the would would the taste of cards be like, you know what? I love them. I love the friendships I've made, the people I've really grown close to through the hobby, through all these social media type avenues. Would that be like, okay, I'm good. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the ride.
It's funny, like with collectors, it's, man, I've got like a stack of vinyl records, you know, that, you know, so I've got that. I've got childhood toys, Ninja Turtles, Micro Machines, G.I. Joes, Hot Wheels, you know. It's kind of one of those things when you really start talking to people, man, you kind of got a lot of crap sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
I like it. I love it. But, you know, it's not just cards. So it's, you know, I still have that stuff. But coins, you know, some currency and stuff like that, stuff I've always liked. But yeah, I mean, and what I've said to a lot of people is it's more, what matters more is the people I've met along the way, relationships I made. I mean, even you, I mean, this is the first time we've ever like really like had an experience like this, but I feel like I've known you forever. I mean, I think as collectors, I think you all kind of have that same thing about you, you know, right? So we understand each other, though we've never met. So that's really cool in the collecting community. So yeah, I'm always going to be around in some shape or fashion. And yeah, it's once you have it, man, you'll never get rid of it. You'll never shake it. I don't think. I hope I never do. To be honest with you.
No, it's yeah, Michael's got his what, your Marvel?
Yeah, I collect Marvel statues, and I've got Packers memorabilia.
Nice.
Steve's got his Tim Tebow collection that he doesn't like to talk about a lot.
I'm a big fan of Tim Tebow. I am.
I'm not.
I'm a Gator. I like him.
Bob,
from a college perspective, he was fantastic. But the NFL, he sucked. So like moving on.
Moving on.
Bob likes oddball stuff.
I'm still trying to get Dave to buy my mask.
All the mask toys.
Yeah.
I know that's something that's on the list. After Bob,
I've already told you, man. Let's work out something. Like it would cost you less to pick it all up at once, and then having to pick up maybe a few piece parts.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping a couple years for that NIL money for C.
Do you have a toy warehouse too, Dave?
Not yet, but the mask stuff, where I used to have the I might have a mini warehouse with all the wrestling figures.
Yes.
So that table there would have to get cleared off, and then I'd play mask probably when I got home from work.
I need some space in that warehouse. I need to rent out some space.
Oh,
so do
I got a ton of Ichiro stuff from like Japan. It's just like I don't know what I'm gonna do with that stuff.
So right, the card that I've only seen in picture of each, it's like it looks like a '94 collector's choice.
Basketball.
It's out of the basketball. Is that a basketball? Is that a real card?
It's a real card. It's a special promotion. It was never in a set or anything. It was a special promotion that Upper Deck did, which is good because it was their early way of kind of sinking their teeth into him a little bit and bringing him on because he was under exclusive rights to Upper Deck in his rookie year for up to a certain point, and he only had autographs through them for good Lord for a long time up till like 2012. So they signed him really early on. And again, he was a big basketball fan. He was a huge Jordan fan, and Jordan had exclusive rights, exclusive contract through Upper Deck. So one thing led to another. But yeah, I do not have that card. Supposedly they made between 1 and 200, and all of them
They
were
handed
given.
out to like press people, or
No, they supposedly only gave them to him or his agent.
wow.
That's it.
Wow.
And that's it. Whatever's out there is out there. And I think his dad built a museum to, for him, even though they don't have a good relationship at all. But he has one in that museum. But I know a few people that have them. But that one guy that wanted the 25 grand for the essential credentials, he had one. He wanted 100 grand for his basketball one. And I'm like, yeah.
Jeez.
But, yeah, there's a few people I know that have them, but I don't know what the
Okay.
value
Is that like the top of the mountain for collectors then? I mean, it's got to be on the Mount Rushmore at least.
It is. There's another card that people don't really know about, and that's the 2001 Donruss. They made the card against the legal ramifications they had. They weren't, under contract to make the card, but it was made because they had Upper Deck had exclusive rights to it. And another collector and I have come across. I've got 2 of them. He's got 2 of them. Another guy has 1 of them. There's 30 ever that made it to it, like out of the facility.
Yeah.
After how many they found a certain amount that were made, they destroyed all of them except for 30. And 30 have made it out. And we know this is an ongoing story since like 2004. I knew about this and been following it. So, it's kind of a big deal, and not too many people know about it. It's kind of one of those, TDLR type stories, and you really need to do a lot of research and looking into it. And a lot of people, even hardcore Ichiro collectors, don't know about it. But every time, a little thing comes out about it, people want more information on it. So, and the only guy that knows about it that worked for them at that time, he's not going to be alive for much longer. So we're in contact with him, trying to get as much information as we can.
Interesting. I like stories like that.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like, we were talking. It's like, it's one of those you don't know what it's hard to put a value on it. If you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, you do know. But it's one of those cards you're probably gonna have to hold on to for probably another 10 years to really see what the heck it's going to go for.
It's no different.
When's he up for Hall of Fame? Next year?
January.
It is January. Yeah. Now's the time then.
Speaking with Mike Kramer, there was no such thing as backdoor copies at Pacific. They were front door copies. So there's cards out there that are non-serial numbered that actually are more rare than the cards that have serial numbers.
And that's a weird thing too, because some people desire the ones that were pack issued and has the number and this and that, which I really get that. But the fact that you don't know, it's far less of the ones that were never supposed to get out to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start fighting with what the values of those are. And so, yeah, that's
Yep.
But it's funny that Mike Kramer thing is like, he was always supposedly on the up and up, and everything was never supposed to. Yeah, everything was in house and nothing. But then you hear a few stories here and there.
We've had the pleasure of having him on the show, and eventually we'll have him back at some point. But Dave, wrap us up.
First off, Ray, thank you for coming on.
Hey,
Pleasure
you got-
getting to actually speak with you, talk with you, shoot the shit, and get to hear you. That's always
Right.
nice. Instead of the Instagram posts, which are good, that they bring the sliver of light to the person, but actually getting on here and BSing, that's what I think we all like to do a lot more. Thank you for everybody for watching, chiming in, comments, criticisms, complaints, and queries.
You
Direct
can't say
those
that
at
word.
Bob Lewis.
Oh, never mind.
Robert Lewis at robertlewis.net.
Thanks, everybody.
So, with that, for Robert, Michael, Vincenzo, Steve, and Ray, I'm Dave. This has been the IRP. Remember, collecting cards, it's a wonderful hobby. The friendships you forge along the way, that's what really matters. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.